Okay. So contingent BI. So CBI, we call it contingent BI. That means contingent BI. Here, what is the difference between BI and contingent BI? The difference is material damage proviso does not apply here in contingent BI. CBI extension means there is no MD proviso. Even if there is no material damage loss within the plant premises, still if you suffer interruption, the loss will be paid. This is contingent BI. And it has got three parts that I'll show you later on. First, you understand the same thing which I have explained in writing. It refers to your BI loss due to interruption arising out of damage of property located outside the plant premises. So MD proviso is not followed. What MD proviso says, inside the plant, there should be a material damage loss. Here, if the property loss has taken place outside the plant premises, then again, business interruption can be paid. Okay. That means insured may recover production loss even though there is no material damage in his premises. Waiver of MD proviso. There are three: supplier premises extension, customer premises extension, and failure of utility extension. Utility means electricity, gas, and power. These are the three utilities. Now let us see one by one. Supplier's premises extension. Here, if you see the diagram, you will understand it better because it will take a lot of time to read. You can go through it. I'll be sharing this presentation to all of you. So you can go through these wordings later on. First of all, let us understand the fundamental. This slide is important because it talks of limits. As per GIC guidelines, what we cover, it is permitted to extend coverage only to first year. First year means direct supplier. No coverage for second or third tier supplier is available. Okay. And this is again inland supplier, not foreign supplier. For inland first year supplier, the limit is 20%. This GIC has given this restriction. Earlier, we were giving up to full sum insured, but now GIC has restricted. They say our limit, loss limit is 20% of PI sum insured. And that too, Fluxa and AOG parallel. For foreign supplier or unnamed supplier, the limit is reduced to 10%. And the coverage is restricted to Fluxa only, no AOG parallel. No AOG parallel is covered in case of unnamed supplier or foreign named supplier. And for unnamed foreign supplier, no cover. These three restrictions are there. Very important. Okay. Now this diagram I was talking. Now here is the insured premises. He is taking supplies from here. Now if there is and this supplier is taking supplies from another supplier. Now say for example, this is Maruti Udyog. They are taking bonnet assembly from this Faridabad supplier. And this Faridabad supplier is taking some of the parts of bonnet assembly from Ghaziabad supplier. Okay. In that case, if there is a damage to Ghaziabad supplier, there will be no supply here. And again, no supply here. And there can be a production loss in insured premises. Understand? Practically, it does not happen because they have got multiple suppliers. If one supplier fails, they can start taking supplies from other companies. No company is dependent 100% on one supplier. But theoretically, if they are dependent on one supplier, in small cases, it happens. In case of automobile industry, big plants, it does not happen. They are not dependent on one supplier. But if it happens, then in that case, BI loss can be paid here. Although there is no damage to the plant and machinery in insured premises, still BI can be paid. Why? Because there is a damage to first year supplier. And this BI is restricted only to first year supplier. If there is a damage here, then again no BI is payable. So second tier supplier is not covered. First tier supplier, that means direct supplier. If there is a physical damage to the property, okay, by a peril which is covered under insured policy. This is another condition. The peril has to be covered. If there is no earthquake covered here and there's an earthquake loss, due to that, the supplies are disrupted and they suffer BI, no BI claim can be paid. This is another important parameter. Okay. Any question on customer supplier? Good. Let us proceed. Now, customer premises ruling is same. GIC rules are same.
Sir, sorry to interrupt in between. Sir, will you going to share this all slide after this session?
Of course. I'll share this presentation to all of you.
Because due to heavy rains, I'm facing a lot of
no problem. No problem. This presentation, you will get it. Okay.
Okay.
So this customer premises extension, GIC rules are same. 20% limit, 10% limit, unnamed foreign cover, no cover, customer, same rule, just like your supplier premises. And here is the, again, now the diagram, insured is sitting here because he is at the supplying end. Now he is supplying. Now, say for example, he becomes a bonnet supplier. Same example, the supplier of bonnet, he takes this policy, CBI, customer premises extension. Okay, and he is supplying to one customer, some dealer, and there is a loss at dealer's premises or Maruti. He is supplying to Maruti. Maruti suffers a loss, and in that case, there will be a production loss at insured premises because he will be unable to supply this material to the customer. And in that case, BI will trigger here, and that BI will be paid. Again, the same rule, provided the peril which has operated here has to be covered under insured policy, material damage policy. And if the loss has taken place to second customer, nothing. Then BI loss will not be paid. Okay. Now, failure of utility. As I told you, failure of utility supply, there are three things. Failure of electricity. In case of failure of electricity, it says, simple, I'll show you the diagram. The only thing, this you need not go through this. You can go through it later on. The only thing is maximum indemnity limit is 60 days. And 60 days comes to 17% of BI value. 60 divided by 365, it comes to 17%. That is why the sum insured restriction BI limit is 17% in case of FOES. Okay. And this is the minimum waiting period, 24 hours. Less than 24 hours interruption, no claim is payable. Maximum is 60 days. That means 17%. Okay. ये बंद करना पड़ेगा. Okay. Lot of disturbance. Now you see this diagram. So you will understand. Failure of electricity. Here is the powerhouse. Powerhouse is supplying power to substation. From substation, it is drawing power to, it is going to insured's premises. Now insured has taken this policy. What it says, if there is a damage to nearby substation premises, physical loss or damage to the property of substation arising out of a peril which is covered in insured policy, in that case, here the business interruption loss will trigger, and that will be payable under this extension, FOES extension. But if there is a damage in power generation plant, then this loss will not be paid. It will be considered as second tier. What we are supposed to consider, last leg of power supply. Another question, if there is a damage to transmission line, again, no loss is payable. People are confused. They think that this transmission line damage will also trigger BI. No. Only when the substation premises there is a physical loss or damage to the property, which results in interruption of power supply to the insured premises, then only BI claim is paid. Okay. Same is the case with gas supply. Rules are same, maximum 17%, 24 hours waiting period. And here, instead of electricity, here it is gas plant. Gas plant, again, gas goes to compressor station. And from compressor station, insured is getting compressed gas through pipelines. Okay. So if there is a physical loss or damage to the nearby compressor station, which results into interruption in gas supply at insured premises, and insured suffers a BI loss due to interruption in production, then that BI loss will be paid. Understand? Again, this gas pipeline is excluded from this coverage. There is a damage to gas pipeline, no BI. Only if there is a damage at the compressor station premises, then only loss will be payable. There is no loss at gas plant also. This can be your Bombay High, your or any other plant, a platform where the gas is taken out, and from there it goes to pumping station. There can be series of pumping stations, but we are concerned with last pumping station from where you are getting the gas. Now, same formula applies to failure of water supply. Here, instead of gas, water plant, pumping station, and then client. Everything is same. So there are three extensions, FOES, FOGS, and FOWS, failure of water supply. Now, ingress egress cover. We were talking about this. There are a few more extensions. BI, these are all CBI. Now, CBI is when the material damage loss has not taken place within the plant premises. Now, what it says, it covers loss of gross profit sustained due to interruption or interference of business activity. Interruption or interference arising out of denial of ingress or ingress to or egress. आने जाने में अगर कुछ बाधा पैदा हो जाए, there is a denial of entry or exit from the plant premises. समझे? Caused by insured peril. ये इंपॉर्टेंट है. इंश्योर्ड पेरिल की वजह से अगर इंग्रेस एग्रेस इफेक्ट हो रहा है, in that case this is covered, but this cover is rarely given, only in mega policy, subject to getting RI approval. Reinsurers approval is very much required, and GIC does not allow this ingress egress cover, but I have seen international market they are considering. So that is why loss limit has to be inserted based in consultation with the reinsurance market. So ingress egress is not considered here in India. In large risk policies, sometimes it is done with the approval of GIC. If GIC agrees, then only we give it. And they can change the wording. There is no standard wording. In one of the case, I found this wording, so I have used it. It says interference arising out of denial of ingress. Denial, it is ingress means entry. Egress means exit. So entry and exit agar deny ho rahi hai, it can be in the situation of your right and strike also. Arising out of insured peril. Insured peril. Say the most common example is flooding. Flooding is insured peril, which is covered under the policy, but it has taken place outside the plant. And because of that, ingress and egress, both is affected. Your entry is affected, outside is affected. So in that case, the business will suffer loss, and that BI loss will be payable. Or storm, due to storm, your there was a big tree which has fallen in front of the main gate. Now this entry is denied. So these things can be covered, but it is a very wider cover. That is why it is to be given very cautiously and with the consent of reinsurance company. Your prevention of access. Yes, Vijay Mohan, बोलिए जल्दी से.
So, okay, denial of access and egress, it is one of the same?
No, it is different. I'll come to denial of access also.
Okay.
It is different. Okay, now let us see first prevention of access. Prevention of access is given by GIC. And what it says, it covers reduction, loss of gross profit. Anna. So resulting from cessation, interruption, interference to the business activity, consequence of a physical damage to property belonging to insured or other property. So whether it is belonging to insured or other property, understand, this is very important. Lying within the radius of 5 kilometers. So this is important. Damage to property is must in prevention of access. And that is why GIC agrees for prevention of access, not for denial. Because in denial, this line is missing. Damage to property line is missing. Here it says, anything in denial, I'll show you that definition also, which GIC is not agreeing. Denial is much wider. Here, damage to property, whether it is damaged by insured peril or uninsured peril, it does not matter. In Ingress, egress, it is due to insured peril only. But here, irrespective of peril, if the property is damaged within the radius of 5 kilometers, which is causing prevention of access to the insured premises, then loss is payable. But damage to property is a must. And inland only, this damage has to be inland only, access, denial of the prevention of access, which prevents or hinders the use or access to the premises, excluding port blockage. Port blockage is not covered, is specifically excluded by GIC, and inland only. These two things are important. And this coverage is restricted only for 4 weeks over and above the policy time access. Now the example is, yeah, if within the 5 kilometers, if the access is denied by floods, okay, then or a storm, which is causing a damage, physical damage to the road, or due to a storm, lot of trees have fallen, or some other boundary wall is damaged, gate is damaged, some physical damage of the property has to be taken place, whether it belongs to insured or not, that is immaterial. And this accident has to take place within 5 kilometers from the insured premises. Then consequent BI loss is payable. Okay, due to non-supply or raw material, other supplies shall be paid. So this is the example of prevention of access.